strategy mapping came out of the work that Kaplan and Norton did in the late 80s and throughout the 90s on the balanced scorecard. And in the balanced scorecard, you'll recall, there are essentially 4 quadrants. There is the financial perspective, the customer perspective, the process perspective, and the learning and development perspective, which includes systems and infrastructure and so on. And I think what Kaplan and Norton found is that as they assessed organizations' deployment of the balanced scorecard, they found after a period of time is that these organizations, despite their best endeavors, were struggling to implement strategies. And in fact, Ed, your book around marketing navigation is about strategy execution at its heart. And so what they did, they sort of flipped the balanced scorecard, and instead of just simply having 4 quadrants on a page, they created a hierarchy within each of those 4 quadrants and started to recognize and make explicit the cause and effect relationships between each of those key elements. So the strategy map structure, if I can show you here, essentially starts with the vision and the mission for whatever it is you're trying to do, your project, your organization, your business function. And then you start with a financial perspective. So in the private sector, this is our organizations are designed to create shareholder value, shareholder returns. So that those are typically described in terms of the financial outcomes that the investors require from the business. In order to deliver those financial outcomes, you have to serve customers or constituents. And you have to have clarity around what you're doing. What is the value you're providing to each of those organizations? If you do what you intend to do with those customers, you should expect that you're going to get the financial returns that you've laid out. But in order to serve those customers, you need business processes. You need to be clear about what you're actually doing. So the relationship between the customer perspective, which is around what are we providing customers, and the process perspective is how are we going to do that? So given that in our field, so you might have a sales process, you might have a procurement category management process, you might have a marketing planning activity, you might have business process re-engineering as a project, or if you like, a part of your organization. All of these activities are there to serve the customer perspective, which in turn, if done excellently, will deliver those financial outcomes and, of course, the vision and the mission for the business. But in order to deliver the processes, you need to have the capabilities within place in the organization, both in terms of your intellectual property, you need the capability of particular individuals, you need systems, and you need infrastructure. So what the learning and development perspective does is essentially say, or get you to think about, we know what we're doing, we've got an idea through the process perspective as how we're going to do that, but then what do we need in terms of our capability and capacity to operate those processes in an excellent way? So essentially, as I experience it, is that the strategy map builds cause and effect into the balanced scorecard. And I think the result of it, Michael, I mean, you might have some input, please, but I think the result of it is being that the strategy execution of organizations who use strategy mapping is significantly better than those that don't.